Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're setting aside the theoretical papers, the big global climate models.
We're getting our hands dirty.
We really are going straight into the dirt, literally, to look at the highly effective, practical world of local environmental conservation.
And specifically, how these groups are educating the next generation of stewards.
That's it. And our source material for this is just fantastic. It's not some glossy brochure.
No, it's a working document. It's a blueprint for impact. We're actually dissecting the planning notes for a group called the Friends of Tallebudgera Creek Conservation.
And they're preparing for a visit from a group of year 10 and 11 students. So these are teens, about 15, maybe 16 years old, from Marymount College.
For a pretty intense session, too, about 90 minutes to 2 hours.
So our mission today is to use this one visit plan as a master class in modern ecological work. We're going to shortcut our way into understanding how they teach 3 core pillars.
Right. We're looking at assisted regeneration, citizen science, and this critical idea of community action. This is the real-world syllabus.
Okay, so it all starts with the setting, and I think the story. The whole session kicks off at the Tallebudgera Creek Conservation Area.
And that first 15 minutes is so critical. It's dedicated to grounding the students, not just in the site's ecology, but its history and, crucially, the group's origin story.
And what's so powerful here is that they lead with a narrative, not a bunch of scientific definitions.
Exactly. They're not just presenting facts about biodiversity loss. They're making a historical and really a moral case for why anyone should get involved in the first place.
And they explain why the group began, and the source material quotes their core reason directly.
Yeah, and it's a gut punch. It says, because nobody else cared.
Wow. That immediately changes the dynamic, doesn't it?
It completely reframes everything.
That narrative that this group was literally formed out of necessity because there was a gap. It frames conservation not as some optional hobby, but as an essential community responsibility.
It moves the discussion from, say, what is the environment for, to what am I responsible for?
Absolutely. And by starting with that foundation of community-led action, they really set the tone for the entire 2 hours. The students are immediately positioned as, well, potential solutions to a real local problem.
And you can see the professionalism in the notes, too. They mention they've hosted a huge range of ages, from young primary school kids all the way up to these older teens.
So they know how to tailor the message.
They know how to tailor it, and they know how to work with the school's curriculum. They're acting as real educators here, not just volunteers showing people around.
Okay, let's unpack the main ecological principle here. The plan dedicates a big chunk of time to this, 45 minutes, for something called assisted regeneration. And what immediately jumps out is that they are actively choosing not to spend this time planting new trees.
Correct. And that is probably the single most important learning outcome for the students. It relies on them grasping what the notes call the ecological logic of assisted regeneration.
Can you elaborate on that logic? Because for so many of us, I think, conservation just equals planting trees. Why is pulling weeds for 45 minutes a better lesson?
Well, it's a shift from, you could say, transactional ecology to systems ecology.
It's transactional.
Yeah.
Meaning, I plant a tree, I get a result.
Precisely. You get that instant gratification, but you might be introducing species that aren't perfectly adapted, or worse, you're not addressing the underlying issues that stop things from growing there in the first place.
I see.
Assisted regeneration is about trusting the natural system that's already in place. It works on the assumption that there's a native seed bank just lying dormant in the soil, waiting for its chance.
So the goal is to remove the obstacles, in this case, the invasive weeds, and just let the native ecosystem, which is already perfectly adapted to the local conditions, regenerate itself.
That's it. Weeding beats planting because you're leveraging nature's stored potential.
It's a much deeper lesson then.
It is. And the hands-on part is meticulous. Before anyone even touches the ground, the hosts demonstrate how to identify weeds and the proper removal techniques.
And the students are only tasked with removing what the plan calls simple weed species.
Yes, and that's so smart. They're not wrestling with deep-rooted invasives that would just be frustrating or risk damaging other plants.
But are they really learning complex botany in just 45 minutes, or is it mostly just pulling?
No, they're learning the connection between a plant's structure and its impact. The notes say the emphasis is on explaining the growth pattern and different physical characteristics of different species of weeds.
So they learn that some weeds creep and smother, others have these deep taproots that steal all the water.
Exactly. So the simple act of kneeling down with a trowel becomes this practical lesson in competition, in nutrient cycling, in applied botany.
They're learning to observe and understand the enemy, not just treat the symptom. It's informed environmental management, not just labor.
And then, from that very physical hands-on work, we pivot to how this local effort connects to global knowledge.
All right, this is the citizen science part.
Right.
And this is where the plan shows a really clever integration of modern tools. You go from gloves and trowels to mobile phones or tablets.
To identify and log local flora and fauna, yeah. And the specific tool they use here matters a lot. They use the iNaturalist app.
Which the notes describe as a world-based database.
A global database, exactly. It's a brilliant choice because it's accessible to everyone, it's robust, and it's immediately scalable.
So why is iNaturalist the ideal platform for this? For bridging that local to global data gap in such a short session?
Because it standardizes the whole process of observation. And, more importantly, it makes the data useful almost immediately. The group has 4 specific ID projects set up just for this park.
And the plan is just to demonstrate it and log one observation together.
That's the plan. They demonstrate existing sightings and then log one new one as a group. And that one simple action, it takes a student's local curiosity and scales it to a planetary level.
A 16-year-old taking a photo of an insect in Tallebudgera Creek is suddenly contributing data that feeds into global biodiversity knowledge.
Think about the impact of that realization. It moves that student from being a passive consumer of information to an active contributor of data, a data provider.
That's a huge shift.
It is. And this kind of decentralized collective observation is critical for scientists trying to understand ecosystem health, track invasive species, or monitor climate change impacts.
Like seeing how plants or animals are shifting their ranges.
Precisely. If enough people are logging data, scientists can spot patterns that no single research team could ever hope to track on their own. The student's visit is no longer just a field trip, it's an ongoing contribution to global science.
Okay, so after the hard work of regeneration and the tech-focused work of citizen science, the final segment is what they call the stewardship takeaway.
This is where they tie it all together.
It's where they synthesize the actions back into the original ethos, linking everything they did back to community themes. And they actually reference a potential school project theme in the notes.
Who cares?
Who cares? It's so direct.
It really is. And that discussion segment is the linchpin of the whole day. If they don't successfully translate all this great work into a sense of personal responsibility, the learning, well, it risks just evaporating once the students get back on the bus.
So they use that powerful origin story nobody else cared to focus the discussion.
They do. And the conversation centers on 3 key areas. First, why local conservation matters so much. Second, how small groups like this one can actually create significant change.
And third, they make it personal for the students. They ask, how can you take these actions and apply them to your own environment, your backyard, your school, your local park?
It connects the dots perfectly. The lesson becomes transferable.
Right. If you learn to ID a weed here, you can do it at home.
And if you learn how to use a global database here, you can log data anywhere on the planet. It reinforces that stewardship isn't a location-specific activity. It's a mindset that starts wherever you are.
So if we were to synthesize all this, what are the actual knowledge goals for these students by the end of this incredibly condensed session? It's a pretty robust package.
It really is. The plan basically mandates 4 key takeaways.
Okay.
1, they have to understand the principle of assisted regeneration, why clearing is better than planting in this context. 2, they should be able to identify a few common local weeds and native species.
The ones they actually worked with.
Exactly. 3, they need to recognize iNaturalist's role and how their local data can feed into global knowledge. And finally, number 4, they have to reflect on personal responsibility and community care.
Moving the mission from the park boundary to their own personal surroundings.
That's it. It's a holistic approach. It targets knowledge, practical skill, tech fluency, and ethical grounding.
So this deep dive has really shown us that the most effective conservation education, well, it's a blend. It's a blend of ecological theory, hands-on application, and modern technology.
Absolutely. The whole plan, right from that powerful opening question of who cares, through the detailed logic of weeding and the global reach of iNaturalist.
It's all designed to convert passive observers into informed active conservationists, and to do it in under 2 hours.
It's a highly refined model. But the plan also notes the follow-up is almost as critical as the session itself.
Right, they intend to provide a takeaway,
Yeah.
a QR code or a flyer.
Something that links directly to the iNaturalist projects, to their volunteer days, and actionable how-to-help tips, making it easy to take the next step.
And this leaves us with a final provocative thought for you to consider. A successful field trip creates that initial spark. But what is the single most critical element necessary to translate that short, high-impact experience into long-term commitment, into actual, sustained, personal environmental stewardship?
That immediate follow-up link is essential, of course. But what else does your local conservation group need to offer to ensure that initial